Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We're going to be looking at Marvel Fanfare number 40. Now, we're going to actually be looking at this book twice, but we're going to do each story separate. And we're going to start with the main story for this video. And then on the next video, we will do the second story because they're two separate stories here. So this first story is actually pretty cool. I have this issue here. And it is actually David Mazzucchelli's last work for Marvel. This is from 1988. So he'd already done Daredevil's Born Again. He'd already done Batman Year One. And then this story came out. Now, whether or not Marvel Fanfare was a place where they started doing stories that they had in the archives and started releasing them. So the exact point that he drew this story is unknown, so I don't know whether he drew this story before or after, okay? But David Mazzucchelli, who teaches actually now, he receives a lot of royalties from just those two books, the Daredevil, Born Again, and Batman Year One. So the dude teaches art, I think at New York University or at Columbia. He's in New York City, so somewhere around there. And I love me some David Mazzucchelli. I love these thick brushes. Look at this. Look at how thick he makes these brushes. Look at the feather here and how thick he makes them. It is absolutely beautiful. Look at how deep. Look at this cover here where you see Angel falling. Absolutely spectacular here. So we always start with an editorial. This is drawn. It's written and drawn by Al Milgrom, who was the editor of these series. So he lets us know kind of what's happened, what's coming up. So so here we go. So Angel was fighting some kind of battle. He was doing some kind of battle, and you can see here that he is falling down to the ground. Beautifully done. And whether he's fighting demons, we don't know, or whatever, but you can see that somehow he loses most of his clothes here. So Ann Nocenti is the writer and David Mazzucchelli is the artist. John Workman, one of the best letterers out there, does this lettering. This thing is just beautifully done. Marvel Fanfare was done in better paper than your normal newsprint, so it was a more high quality book here. So anyway, the title of our story is let's see, Chiar. I don't know what this is. Chiaroscuro? I have no idea how to friggin' say this. So it's a chiaroscuro. And so I looked it up here, and it's a technique in the visual arts that uses strong contrast between lights and darks to create the illusion of volume in modeling three-dimensional objects and figures. The terms come from the Italian word chiaro, meaning light, and scuro, meaning dark. This technique is widely used in painting, photography, and film to enhance depth, tone, often employing a single light source to achieve dramatic effect. So now we know. So, and as the saying goes, knowing is half the battle. So, all right. And so we start out with a woman sitting on a chair. She's an elderly woman named Josie, and she is reading to her little grandson from the book of Isaiah. which is a book in the Bible, and we can see the grandson great use of that. This guy, David Mazzuchelli, is an incredible artist. Um, he's gone more cartoony as his career when he does conventions, but it is immaculate in that he gives you this look, looking down on them. It is absolutely awesome. Oh my goodness. So you can see the grandson is bored to death, and he asks his grandma to get to the battle she told him about. He remarks that this Gabriel cat sounds cool. The way he booted Lucifer out of the kingdom and all. So, the old lady agrees with um, and what a battle it must have been. She tells her grandson Eric, so her name is Josie, his name is Eric, to imagine the flurry of wings, the flash of swords. So the grandma here gets herself together, and exclaims that they must continue with Isaiah. As Josie resumes her reading, Eric can't help but think that this is boring. He also realizes his grandma's got wrinkles on her wrinkles, and if he were her, he'd kill himself. Josie turns to him and asks if he's listening. Acting all saintly, Eric assures her that he is and pretends to find it very inspiring. Josie agrees and returns to her reading. Eric has other concerns though, as he suddenly spots his grandma's purse in the pocket of her dress. Eric realizes this is a holy temptation placed right in his path of his eyeballs. It must be a sign. He asks the Lord to forgive him. He may not resist, he may burn in hell, and slowly slips his hand into his grandma's pocket and extracts her purse. So, naughty, naughty kid. So, much to Eric's horror, though, his grandma suddenly feels his hands and she says, "What is this?" She mumbles just as Eric barely manages to conceal the purse behind his back. Eric nervously tells her it's nothing. She was just so moving he had to hold her hand. Grandma is very pleased to hear this by her darling angel. He did understand the good book. Sure, Grandma, Eric replies, and argues that the best part of the Bible is where everyone begats everyone. And so, uh, so she says, "Oh, you so naughty." Josie giggles. Holding Eric's hand while Eric thinks that's that her gross old paw won't let him. How about a kiss for Grandma? He says, and you can see him here concealing the book, and he's got to run, and so he slams the door, and she says, "Oh, what is that smell?" And of course, she had forgotten the toast here, so she takes it out, and you can see it comes out here, kind of scaring her, and so she thinks she maybe plugged the wrong thing and then puts it on, and apparently this thing was on, and so it starts to go, and she's like, "Oh my God, the kitchens are so dangerous these days." And so she goes to the apple and says that it's a lovely day, and she's gonna go grab an apple, and she puts this bucket on this beautiful silhouette. By the way, this is just done beautifully. By the way, this is a scan of the actual comic book. This isn't a digital. This is an actual scan. I was not able to find a digital, but you can definitely see. It's pretty cool when we can get some scans here. And so she's trying to reach this apple, and someone calls her name here, and it was her neighbor here who says, "Get down. You're too old to be doing that here." And so, everybody kind of, poor thing. I understand. I'm getting older myself. It's just, this is life, and it's not, doesn't mean it's fair, but it is what it is. It's going to happen to me, and if you're young, it's going to happen to you. Now, a few people, it may not happen at all, and you may have the greatest family in the world and your kids, and they'll be all with you. But for the most part, old people are forgotten. Um, and it's just a fact of life here. So she's reading the news about two teenagers that were found dead, and she found her needlepoint sketch here. Um, and she wonders. She says here, "Been trying to finish it. I'll probably never. Maybe tomorrow." And so she's hearing the brutally assaulted kind of thing. So we're hearing some dangerous stuff here. And they're describing the death, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, maybe I should stay inside." And she looks at her face, and she realizes how old she is. She says it looks like a road map, and her pain, could it be arthritis? Could it be cancer? And she looks for her pills, and she goes, "Oh no, my purse is gone. Eric must have taken. He stole from his stupid fat old grandma." And she's like, "It's so cold here. I wish I could just leave." And so she gets in the car. Is she going to commit suicide? Perhaps. We don't know yet. But before we move on, look at this beautiful rendering. Oh my goodness gracious, David Mazzuchelli is absolutely incredible. I love his art so much. I wish there was more of his art. It is the problem with success. Um, like Todd McFarlane, like Mark Silvestri, they became so successful and made so much money they basically quit doing what they love because they'd already achieved success. So now Todd McFarlane just continues making his money with the toys. He doesn't bother really drawing anything, not a cover. David Mazzucchelli made money, so he does another passion of his, which is teaching. Mark Silvestri, same thing, made hand over fist. He barely draws anything. Jim Lee, he still draws, but really barely. Right now, Hush 2 is delayed. He had over a year to try to finish 6 issues, and it's still delayed. He couldn't even do it. It's just the nature of success. Once people become successful doing something, they quit creating. And that is sad in a way because we as fans lose out. I wish Todd McFarlane would draw more. I wish David Mazzucchelli would draw more. But it is the way society works. Once you achieve success, people just don't, they're like, well, what do I have to keep drawing for? And I just never understood how some people can shut off the artistic side of theirs. David Mazzucchelli, I'm sure he draws, but we don't get to see his sketchbooks. We don't get to see, we as fans don't get to see David Mazzucchelli's. He probably draws for himself, and he might be just happy, but I don't get to see anymore. You don't get to see anymore. And that in its turn is sad because look at how beautiful this image is. So, God, I really wish there was more Todd McFarlane art out there. I wish there was more, Mark Silvestri art. I wish there was more David Mazzucchelli art. There's a lot of people who I wish was still doing art, and David Mazzucchelli is one of them. So, all right. So she's remembering her and her husband here and how they used to go out and they'd go dancing, and just how much time has passed. And it says here it would be so easy just to turn the key and go. And then she says, "So hard, I'll never get out of the garage." And suddenly she sees in the back Angel. And she says, "A falling angel, a vision right outside. Oh, now I'm seeing things. My life might as well be over. I'm ready." So she was going to kill herself here. Beautiful art, I'm telling you. What an amazing. But then you hear this crash here. And so she's going to go look and sees all these feathers and sees Angel. Of course, she thinks it's an actual angel. She doesn't realize it's the member of the X-Men, future member of X Factor. So this is before. So he may have been in the Defenders most likely during this time, or maybe because we don't get any conjecture as to sort of when this was, just because it been early or not. So for the purposes of putting this on the playlist, on the X-Men playlist, I'm gonna put it right before X-Men 200, right before they formed X Factor. So, all right. So you can see her. Oh my goodness, Lord in heaven, Mary, Peter, Joseph, Jesus, Joseph, bless me. I have died and gone to my reward. And so she sees the angel, and then so she sees angel, not an angel, angel, and she realizes he's still alive, and she's like, I touched an angel. And he says battle, losing Mephisto. So he was fighting some kind of demon horde, and realizes that most of his feathers, he's been hurt and most of his feathers are out. Of course, because of his mutant powers, the feathers would grow back even if you cut them. Uh, but there was when during the mutant massacre, they actually hurt the wings itself. So it wasn't just the feathers; they hurt the wings, and so that is why they had to end up being amputated, which then in turn formed caused him to become Archangel, um, or Death, and then became Archangel. So when he lived, so it's just trying to go after the feathers again, done in beautiful silhouette, and then the painting uh, over it just absolutely breathtaking. And so she collects all the feathers here. But look at that. They're still drawing him with a bunch of feathers. So imagine how feathery he was here. And so she's making glue to see if she can uh, glue them all. Look at all these feathers. And she grabs one and thinks, maybe he won't miss just one. And he's talking about the beasts. So she's thinking Satan, of course. He's thinking about Mephisto here, who happens to be the devil for Marvel Comics here. And of course, she's thinking biblical and all that. So look at this. She puts glue, like she's gonna glue his feathers back. So, and now she's gonna make him food, and um, you can see bread. Wonders if he eats meat, and so sees this dove got in, and she's gonna try to shoo the bird, and he makes it out of here. And then as she's walking around, she finds the sketch here, and she thinks, oh, really needs something to tie it together. There, that does it. So she scribbles something on it here, and then goes to him and sees he's still sleeping, and he's like, "Oh, I'm shivering. This is such a miracle here." And so she's like, "Oh, there's an angel in my bed. I wish Bill were alive to see this." And then she looks at the feather. I really shouldn't have stolen this feather. My my words to steal from an angel there, and puts it back. And Mr. Angel, you must eat. Please wake up and make some soup. And they look at each other. Beautifully, this is also beautifully colored. Mazzuchelli did not color this, but it is beautifully colored. These Marvel Fanfare books really gave you bang for your money. It wasn't just better paper, but better quality that was done. And I wish we would go back to these types of paper versus these glossy papers that we now have for the computer coloring. I'm telling you, we used to build good stuff. We used to make really good art. And now we just do AI and make digital paintings. And yes, I know that I am in my 50s and sound like an old man and am an old man, but we used to create, and we just don't see this level of creation anymore. Not really. Not in comic books, at least, here. So he looks at his wings and sees that she put them together and smiles at her. And so he's getting out, and she's like, please don't go yet. You must eat something, please. And so he grabs an apple, and he says, oh, sorry, he gives her a kiss, and look, he gives her a wing, and she's like, come back anytime. And he's like, kiss by an angel. And she's like, oh, as he's going to leave because he's got to fight. So he flies there, and she's in a good mood. You can see here she's singing here and starts tossing her appliances like Die Monster, and then she puts on her gloves and off she goes. And really, really well done story by Ann Nocenti, and off she goes. So instead of suicide, um, she goes for a drive. So very nice story. Very I liked it. And so I thought I'd share. I miss David Mazzuchelli. He is still alive. It's not like he's dead. I do miss his work, and I will always say that. So, all right. Marvel Fanfare number 40 by Ann Nocenti and David Mazzuchelli. Like and subscribe. I've talked long enough. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.